Here is Jay, listening in Washington, D.C. on WAVA. Hello, Jay. How can we help today?
Hi, how you guys doing today?
Doing great, thanks. What's going on?
That's good. So I'm dealing with a tremendous childhood trauma caused by sexual abuse, and it's really affecting me in a terrible way. My marriage, my personal life, and I pray, and I just don't know what to do. It's been too long. And forgive me because I'm uncomfortable because I've never discussed this with anyone, not even my wife. So it's kind of embarrassing and a little uncomfortable for me. But I desperately need some type of professional advice because I just don't know what to do, to be honest with you.
Well, Jay, I want to commend you just for your bravery. I mean, for maybe the first time of sharing this, to call a radio station and share too. So sorry what happened to you. Thank you for being brave, and we want to do our best to help you here. I know it's a sensitive subject for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your abuse? I mean, if maybe what age it happened at, and some of your experience, if you can, if you're comfortable.
Okay. From the age of 8 to like 9.5, I was sexually assaulted by my older sister.
Mm-hmm.
And with her living in the home, it was hard to get away from that. And I had so many confusing emotions because as a kid, I didn't know what was going on. I knew what was going on, but I didn't understand why I was able to go through with it as far as the excitement factor. So once that ended, about 2 years later, it was a neighborhood guy that forced me to do acts on him, man.
Oh my goodness.
That just was one encounter. It was at gunpoint, and
Jay.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's helpful, Jay. You don't have to tell us it all, but that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, so did anybody know about this? Did your parents know about this? This was happening in your home. You couldn't get away.
No, you're the first. I've never talked about it. No. She lived in the home, and I understand because she was touched by the family member. But I just couldn't understand from my big sister, like, why did I deserve that as a kid? I tried not to, I know it's a strong word, but I tried not to develop hate for her because I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it wasn't right, And it took me down to and how it started was through porn, and I can remember very vividly the day that it happened. And I just know the enemy was clapping his hands saying, this is going to be a lifetime struggle for you.
Oh.
But I don't know. I just don't know how to get over it. I mean, I don't hold grudges with anyone. I forgive them. They are forgiven for sure. But inside, like I said, I've been holding this in since the 80s.
Jay, I'm going to speak to this. Jay, you hear the music. We're coming to a break. There is a well-worn path to healing, and we know how to direct you on it. So you've been going to prayer and to God, but you haven't been receiving the healing that you need. We will give you some specific steps. We hear the anguish in your voice, brother. We can help you with this.
Yeah, don't hang up, Jay. We'll come back to you when we come back from the break here on New Life Live. Everybody listening right now, would you pray for Jay? He's been going through this for 47 years. He's finally calling us today to break free from this. Please pray for Jay. We'll be right back. We are back. My name is Brian Perez. I'm here with clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton and licensed marriage and family therapist Mark Cameron. We're here for 2 hours today. We're about halfway through our first hour, so you've got about 90 minutes left to call us at 1-800-229-3000. And before the break, we were speaking to Jay, who called in with these heart-wrenching details. My goodness, Jay, thank you for calling in today. Thank you for staying on the line. Thank you for opening up to us. Thank you for trusting us with this situation that you've been holding on to for so long. So just a couple of quick questions I have. Are you still in contact with your older sister who did this to you? And how long have you been married?
I don't communicate with my sister as I should because of the past.
But she's still around.
I've been married. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And I've been married. It'll be 22 years on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Wow, and your wife doesn't know about this, did you say? I think you said she doesn't understand.
No, she don't know. It was every time I try to tell her, it's just so embarrassing. And I know she's going to be supportive, but I don't want her looking at my sister differently, and I don't want her looking at me differently. You know, I don't think that she'll look at me differently, but I think my biggest concern is trying to protect my sister. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, man, again, Jay, thank you for sharing this with us. And so, yeah, a terrible thing happened to you both. I think I heard you say that your sister was also abused too. And so oftentimes, not that this excuses it, but kids act out the trauma that's happened to them. And so it sounded like that she acted out the trauma that happened to her with you, and this is just a tragedy because both of you have now these deep wounds. And so it makes total sense that you would be confused why your older sister would do this, and that, you know, went on for so long. You were trapped, you couldn't get away. Oftentimes what happens in sexual abuse is the shame of the perpetrator actually gets transferred to the victim. The victim feels that shame that the perpetrator actually should feel. And what can be really confusing in sexual abuse too is God has designed our bodies to respond in certain ways. So when people are abused or when they're touched, their body may respond even though they don't want to respond or they know that it's wrong. And then that's where the shame ends up creeping in, because it's why didn't I tell anyone, or why did my body respond, or why did I like this and I shouldn't. And it can be incredibly difficult. Thank you for sharing this with us. We'd love to put you in touch with a therapist who you can share more about this with, because this is a deep pain. It's not going to all of a sudden go away.
Right.
It needs to be processed. But you have a story, and your sister has a story. Both of you have a story, and each of you are entitled to tell your story. And it's part of your story. It is going to out your sister. And so you have to be careful who you're going to do that with. But it sounds like, you know, your wife, a spouse, should be a person who we should be able to tell those things to. And it's not necessarily that you're making her see your sister in a different way. You're helping her understand you and the trauma that you endured.
Does he have to, really quick, does he have to say it was his older sister? Can he just say it was somebody in the family? Or do you think he should just come out and...
Well, again, shame makes us want to run and hide. Shame makes us not want to say things. Jay, if your wife is a safe person, if she can hold a secret, then I would encourage you to disclose to her. If she was going to go out there and post this on social media, then maybe you've got some concern that you don't want to give certain details. But if she's a safe person, you know, what's happened to you is you've had trauma from people who are supposed to be safe, and they weren't. And now that trauma is continuing on, that you feel like you can't be safe with people who should be safe. And so part of breaking that trauma is finding safe people and sharing it.
Yeah.
And Jay, I would suggest a process of preparation before you choose to tell your wife. Because as you said, this was the first time you told anybody, telling strangers. And we're so proud of you that you are. And so strategizing with a counselor about how to go about this, because the whole family has been keeping secrets. Not everybody knows necessarily, but the abuser, all the victims that there have been in this family. And when we keep secrets like this, you have good reason to, but the sickness stays in the family. And sometimes abuse is then perpetrated from one generation to the next. So we want to connect you with a counselor so that it can be determined, are there children who are still vulnerable to being abused by someone in the family? And then I think you've also struggled with pornography. And when our sexuality is so bruised in childhood by abuse, it's normal that we find ways of coping that are disordered as well in adulthood. So if pornography is still an ongoing problem for you, we want to help you to clean up that area of your life. And it can be better to tell a spouse after you've already been in some counseling so that you have the right wording, you decide how much to disclose, how much you think your wife can receive, and at what time and in what way. And so our Every Man's Battle, Jay, you probably know, it's one of the ways of that getting freedom from pornography. And a lot of our men that go to Every Man's Battle also have a history of abuse in their background. So to be able to start practicing either with a counselor or with other men who can understand you, that then prepares you to know what to do with your family. And we just want to clarify that the abuse, the various forms of abuse you've experienced, they were never reported to authority figures, correct? Because nobody knew about them.
That's correct. That's correct. I couldn't break my mom's heart as far as the relative, my sister, and the guy in the neighborhood. It was just too embarrassing because I looked at myself as not a heterosexual male because what heterosexual male, child or adult will go through with that, whether you have a gun pointed to your head or not. That's just how I was raised, from street guys. That's just, you don't do that. You're going to die before you allow something like that to happen. And as a 10, 11-year-old kid, I don't know. I fell under the pressure. And I know you guys have a lot of callers, but I just want to say one thing. As far as the Every Man's Battle, I always contemplate going, but it's something, and I know it's nothing but the enemy because I always say, I pray on it, I will stop watching for a month and then I go right back into it, and then here comes the depression. So it's like that, I feel like that just wouldn't, and it'd be a never-ending cycle. I would do good and then I would go back to it. And it's something that's telling me, that Every Man's Battle is not going to work for you,
Well, can we, if you've contemplated it before, while we still have you on the phone, can we keep you on the phone and get you signed up for it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Yes. Thank you for being so brave, Jay. Part of your trauma has been to stay silent, and I think as you learn to share, you'll find healing. But I agree with Alice. Let us connect you to a counselor, and where you can share your story, and they can be empathetic and help you.
We may also ask for some other details offline so we can just check on what was not reported and does anything else need to happen for the safety of other children that are around. So hold on the line, Jay.
And I think we should send Jay a copy of the devotional called 100 Days of Healing because he needs the healing. After 47 years of going through this, we're going to send you this book, Jay. So stay on the line, and thank you for calling us today here on New Life Live. We keep saying it, how brave it was for him to call. We throw that word around nowadays so much, brave. People do something that maybe they shouldn't do, but they do it, and that person was so brave to come forward. This, however, was definitely something that you've been holding on to for 47 years. Your wife doesn't even know about it. Now, Alice, you said that you recommend that he talk to a counselor before he tells his wife. So don't call your wife right now and let her know, hey, we need to talk tonight. Talk to the counselor first.
Yeah. This kind of conversation is so emotionally impactful for all involved that there are more therapeutic ways about going about a disclosure. And that's what our counselor will help you with.
Yeah.